Young and Restless early spoilers July 14th to 18th. Victoria's breakdown and Phyllis's shocking betrayal. On Wednesday, July 9th, we've got Nick Newman, Joshua Morrow, convincing Sharon Newman Sharon case, to find out if Phyllis is on Team Kane, if she's declared her loyalty to him. And Nick asked Sharon to try and shake any secrets out of Phyllis that she knows about Kane and what he's planning. And Nick and Sharon have a little bit of romance, too. We've been promised they would get closer in France. Sharon's actually hoping for something a little more romantic than plotting about Phyllis, but Sharon is going to do what Nick asked. So Phyllis tells Kane she is loyal and that she's eager to watch everybody melt down, but is also kind of poking him about his jealousy over Damian Kane, Jermaine Rivers, and Lily Winters, Crystal Khalil. Phyllis says that his fixation on Lily is a distraction, and he needs to focus on the big plan. Kane insists that Lily will not distract him and says, of course, he didn't expect to win Lily back so fast. Young and the Restless spoilers. Kane defends Colin. Anyway, Kane insists that Lily fell out with him because of Colin, and Kane tells Phyllis he got close to his dad while he was getting Devon Hamilton's, Brighton James, money back. And Kane insists that Colin really changed while facing his death, and helped him create the Dumas Empire, and make it a success and legit and all that. Kane also insists that Phyllis has not yet proved her loyalty to him. And then she tells Kane that the Newmans know he can contact the outside world, and is buying up real estate in Genoa City and the old Chancellor divisions. Kane is absolutely stunned. She knows. He says it's impossible that the Newmans were able to reach out to anybody on the outside. YandR spoilers. Phyllis plays it smart. Now, Phyllis does hold back a nugget. She doesn't tell him that Adam Newman, Mark Grossman, made it up the mountain. Kane orders her to find out how the Newmans found out what he was up to, while also still trying to deny he's doing it, and denying that he's got secret Wi-Fi. Sharon corners Phyllis with questions about Kane and where her loyalties lie. And Phyllis admits that she's still deciding because everybody in Genoa City treats her like crap. That's Phyllis's take on it. And Kane doesn't. She doesn't have a messy history with him. So there is a clean slate for her that she doesn't have with anybody else. But Phyllis also tells Sharon that she is not out here blabbing all the Newman's secrets to Kane. And she did indeed hold back on the Adam thing. I think at this point she's kind of fence-sitting and still deciding what she's going to do. Nick and Kane have a chat about his plans, and Kane reassures Nick that the Newmans will be just fine, and he holds out his hand for a handshake. Now Nick doesn't trust Kane, but he goes ahead and shakes his hand anyway. And of course, he's lying to Nick and Nick is deceiving Kane. They don't trust each other. Young and the Restless. Jack and Billy's conflict over Kane and Chancellor. Billy Abbott, Jason Thompson, and Jack Abbott, Peter Bergman, argue about Kane and about Chancellor. Jack realizes that Billy still wants Chancellor, and that he does plan to try and ally with Kane to get his hands on it. Jack thinks that means that Billy's already losing interest in AbbottCom, but Billy says no. He tells Jack that Sally Spectra, Courtney Hope, is going to run AbbottCom, but Jack's mad because he invested in Billy. No slight to Sally, but he invested in his brother. And yet his brother is just all focused on getting revenge on Victor Newman, Eric Braeden again. Young and the Restless spoilers. Jack and Billy argument heats up. Diane Jenkins, Susan Walters, and Sally try and talk the guys down as they heat up. But Jack says Billy is chasing thrills again, and is going to make himself miserable by focusing his life on payback on Victor, and Billy reminds Jack he hates Victor too. But Jack says Billy is going to wind up losing both AbbottCom and Chancellor before all is said and done. Young and the Restless spoilers. Proposals, kisses, and hard decisions. On Thursday, July 10th, Danny Romalotti, Michael Damian, proposes. He asks Christine Williams, Laura Lee Bell, to marry him. Looks like Danny rented out society for the big event. Obviously, Christine is going to say, yeah, prepare for a lot of Danny and Christine flashbacks to their long romance. And that's based on an interview I read recently with Michael Damian, who I think ranks his and Christine's romance higher than probably most YandR viewers do. But hey, that's all right. Lily gets brave and passionately kisses Damian, saying that she wants something new and won't be held back. I think seeing Kane again has made Lily realize that Damian is a total catch. She wasn't really giving him full credit, but now that she can see him side by side with Kane Lily's Crystal Khalil, like, yeah, Damian's a good guy. Victoria faces a hard decision, and this may be something about Cole's cremation and memorial with the family gone when she and Claire Grace Newman, Haley Aaron, need them the most. Young and the Restless. Grief, Temptation, and Plots. On Friday, July 11th, we're going to wrap up this week with Holden Novak, Nathan Owens, being there for Claire. He is her rock. She's grieving her father, Cole's death, and Kyle Abbott, Michael Mueller, is just nowhere to be found. He's not answering messages. He's not there for her. And things may start to shift for Claire. Plus, she's really ashamed that she walked out just before her dad Cole drew his last breath, because she was freaking out. This is big emotional stuff. Kyle is over in France playing games with Audra Charles, Zuleika Silver, instead of at her side. So, she's going to open up to Holden, and he's on those orders by Kane to get really close with her. And the question is, will he leverage Claire's grief and get really, really close to her? Meanwhile, Kyle and Audra are tempted. Will they give in or will they resist? Both of their relationships are at risk. And unless it's some sort of weird dream sequence, Kane gets into Lily's bedroom on the rail car this week for an intimate talk that she's not too happy about, and this could be what prompts her to get a lot closer to Damien. Young and the Restless spoilers. Adam and Chelsea Lawson Newman, Melissa Claire Egan, are busy plotting against Kane and Holden to protect the Newman family. The week of July 14th through the 18th, Kane Phyllis and Amanda Sinclair, Miss Hale Morgan, versus everyone. And Billy is going to be in that cabal soon as he makes his pitch to Kane. Phyllis is going to likely try and keep up appearances with the Abbotts and the Newmans and the Winters so that she can help Kane. But let's be real, she has a terrible poker face and she can't ever keep her mouth shut. So I think everybody are going to know where her loyalties lie. Young and the Restless, murder mystery and shifting alliances. Hopefully everybody is back to Genoa City before mid-month. We are still promised a murder mystery. Josh Morrow said that himself. I'm back to again thinking it's going to be Chance Chancellor Connor Floyd. That dies because he's in France for no reason. And Connor Floyd left Young and the Restless to go work over at Days of Our Lives. And he left the CBS soap a few weeks back. So his time is up unless they are just going to send Chance out and never mention him again, which they've done. They did it to Paul Williams July 14th to 18th in The Young and the Restless promises to be one of the most emotionally charged, twist-laden stretches in recent memory. A storm of betrayal, vulnerability, and unraveling control. At the center of it all stands Victoria Newman, teetering on the edge of a breakdown, while Phyllis Summers executes a betrayal so shocking it could reset the balance of power in Genoa City forever. Monday, July 14th, cracks begin to show. Victoria Newman wakes with a start, the early morning sun slicing through the blinds like accusations. Her mind races, board meeting in an hour, a crisis text from Nate, whispers about Ashland still echoing in her head. She tries to breathe, tries to steady herself, but something in her chest refuses calm. At Newman Enterprises, Victoria's hand trembles as she signs off on routine paperwork. It's subtle, only a few seconds, but Devin notices and frowns. "You okay?" he asks, his voice professional but concerned. Victoria forces a smile, but it doesn't reach her eyes. The pressure of running her family's legacy, and defending it from ghosts of decisions past, begins to weigh heavier than ever. Meanwhile, Phyllis Summers, the cocktail of charm and danger, strolls into society's morning buzz, radiant and poised. She's armed with a plan, and her eyes glint with the thrill of a secret she has no intention of keeping for long. If Victoria is crumbling, Phyllis sees an opening, one she's been waiting months to exploit. Across town, Nick Newman watches his sister from afar, sensing something is off. But Victoria insists she's fine, too fine, and deflects his concern with a tight smile. Little does Nick know, Victoria's internal battle is just beginning. Tuesday, July 15th. Off script and unraveling. At the office the next day, Victoria's normally razor-focused slips. A misread financial summary, a missed cue in a conference call, and suddenly whispers tremble through the executive suite. Devin tries to shield her, but the damage is done. The board is uneasy. Phyllis arrives at Newman Enterprises with an innocent hi, but her eyes linger a little too long on Victoria's unusual disarray. Her phone buzzes, a message from Nick, "Watch your back." Phyllis smirks. Oh, she's already 3 moves ahead. Victoria retreats to her office, breath quickening. Ashland Locke's shadow still haunts her, not because he's gone, but because she can still feel the remnants of betrayal like shards under her skin. She touches her temple, as if it might keep the world from spinning. Newman Enterprises isn't just a company, it's her identity. And right now it feels like it's slipping through her fingers. It's here we see the first real sign. A trembling conversation with Nate, where Victoria's usual composure disintegrates. Her voice cracks, her tone jagged. Nate is startled. This isn't the poised Victoria he knows. This is someone fraying at the edges, trying to hold on by her fingernails. Wednesday, July 16th. Phyllis makes her move. Phyllis Summers doesn't do subtle. She moves like a flame across dry brush, purposeful and dangerously warm. Today, she seeks out Nikki Newman under the guise of friendly concern. They meet at society and Phyllis offers comfort. Just enough to be believable, just enough to earn Nikki's trust. Meanwhile, Victoria's missteps become more pronounced. During a critical strategy meeting, she snaps, a sharp, unfiltered burst of emotion about legacy, lies, and fear of losing everything. The executives shift uncomfortably. Victoria realizes too late she's said more than intended, and definitely more than she can take back. Later, Phyllis watches all this from a distance. She smiles, not smugly, not mockingly, but with that intense gleam that signals she's ready. Tonight is the night she begins laying her cards bare. Thursday, July 17th, betrayal in full bloom. The sun sets on Genoa City, but secrets don't sleep. They stir. Phyllis invites Victoria to a private dinner at the Grand Phoenix under the pretense of sisterly support. Victoria arrives with hesitation, and Phyllis welcomes her with warmth. Over wine, the conversation begins safe enough. But there's a tension under Phyllis's gaze. She's not here to comfort, she's here to conquer. Victoria opens up about the stress, the criticism, the fear of losing control. Phyllis listens, and then she flips the switch. "You don't have to carry all of that alone," Phyllis whispers, leaning in. "But maybe, you need someone you can really trust." Victoria nods, weary. And then Phyllis drops the bomb. The betrayal isn't loud, it's surgical. She casually mentions a certain deal she secured that would weaken Newman Enterprises' market position. A deal she helped a rival company finalize. And yes, she had access to the inside info that made it possible. Victoria's eyes widen, disbelief crashing into hurt. Phyllis watches the shock unfold, then slowly reveals the bitter truth. She saw Victoria's vulnerabilities and decided it was time Newman Enterprises felt the sting of betrayal. The same sting Victoria felt when Ashland turned on her. This is no ordinary betrayal. This is a blow laced with strategy. Phyllis didn't just stab at Victoria's company, she aimed for the heart. Friday, July 18th, aftermath and fallout. The week's finale explodes at Newman Enterprises. The board is in an uproar. Stocks have dipped. Rumors swirl. Victoria is forced into damage control. And for the first time in her life, she's not sure how to win without losing something crucial in the process. Phyllis, on the other hand, watches the chaos she orchestrated with a cool distance. Is it triumph? Satisfaction? Or something darker? Perhaps a moment of truth revealing that even Phyllis doesn't enjoy victory without watching her rival writhe? Victoria's breakdown, once whispered about behind closed doors, is now front-page Genoa City news. Devin and Nate try to steady her, but Victoria wants something else, clarity. She wants answers. And she wants Phyllis to pay, not just for the financial blow, but for the emotional ambush that cut deeper than any boardroom battle. In her office late at night, Victoria stares out at the city lights, a storm of hurt and determination burning in her eyes. She's not defeated. Not yet. But something fundamental inside her has shifted. The woman who once controlled every narrative now finds herself reacting, rather than directing. And just when the audience thinks things can't get more volatile, Phyllis calls Victoria. Only one word comes through. Ready. What this means going forward. Victoria's journey this week is one of unraveling, and then reassembling. She confronts her fears, makes mistakes in public, and faces betrayal not from an outside rival, but from someone who knows her most vulnerable places. Phyllis's betrayal is strategic and personal. She doesn't just undercut Newman Enterprises, she forces Victoria to confront her own fragility, and does so with a ruthless kind of precision. Family ties will be tested. Nick, Ashley, Nikki, and the rest of the Newman clan will be pulled into the fallout as Victoria seeks answers, and possibly revenge. And through it all, Victoria may not just survive, she may rise with a new edge that Genoa City is about to explode with tension as shocking developments unfold in the lives of the Newman, Abbott, and Chancellor families. This week, all eyes are on Kane Ashby, whose surprising defense of Colin Atkinson has left fans on the edge of their seats. Kane, long considered one of the moral compasses of Genoa City, is now stepping into a whirlwind of controversy, forcing everyone to question where loyalties truly lie. It all began when Colin's latest scheme came to light. For months, Colin Atkinson has been a character shrouded in mystery, walking the fine line between villainy and charm. Despite his dark past and countless manipulations, Colin has occasionally revealed glimpses of vulnerability that some, including Kane, have been willing to believe. However, a shocking revelation threatened to destroy any shred of trust Colin had earned. Evidence emerged linking him to a financial sabotage plot aimed at Newman Enterprises, putting Victor Newman on high alert and igniting a corporate war. The city's gossip mill went into overdrive, and social media fans exploded with speculation. Could Kane Ashby, the husband of Lily Winters and a loyal employee of Chancellor Winters, really defend a man like Colin Atkinson, whose name has become synonymous with treachery in Genoa City? The answer, it turns out, is far more complicated than anyone expected. Kane's defense of Colin began quietly, in private conversations with his closest confidants. Sources close to the Ashby family report that Kane believes Colin was coerced into certain actions and that his heart may not be entirely corrupt. Kane is convinced there's more to Colin's story than anyone sees, a source revealed. He's trying to protect Colin, not because he agrees with everything he's done, but because Kane believes in redemption, and he believes Colin deserves a chance to prove himself. Of course, Kane's stance did not sit well with others. Lily, ever the protective wife, initially struggled to understand her husband's perspective. She is fully aware of Colin's capacity for deceit, and the thought of Kane defending him sent chills down her spine. Lily is torn, the insider explained. She trusts Kane, but she also knows Colin can be dangerous. It's a delicate situation, and she fears that Kane's compassion could backfire in a big way. As Kane's defense of Colin became more public, the tension in Genoa City reached fever pitch. A pivotal scene took place at a charity gala hosted by the Newman family, where Victor publicly confronted Colin about the alleged sabotage. The room was thick with anticipation as Victor's sharp gaze bore into Colin. Before Colin could even respond, Kane stepped forward, surprising everyone, including Victor. "Victor, wait," Kane said firmly, his voice calm but commanding. "Before you pass judgment, hear me out. Colin isn't the man you think he is. There's more going on here than just greed and deception. I know him, and I believe there's a part of him that deserves a chance to make things right." The room fell silent. Victor, never one to be easily swayed, narrowed his eyes. "Kane, I respect your loyalty, but don't let sentiment cloud your judgment. Colin has a long history of manipulation. What makes you think he's suddenly changed?" Kane stood his ground. "It's not about suddenly changing. It's about giving him the opportunity to prove he can do better. We can't keep punishing him for the worst moments of his life without letting him show who he really is." This act of courage, or naivety, depending on one's perspective, sparked whispers across the gala. Some guests admired Kane's moral stance, praising him for seeing potential for redemption where others saw only deceit. Others criticized him, labeling his defense as reckless and potentially dangerous. Meanwhile, Colin himself was visibly moved by Kane's support. Historically, Colin has been guarded, rarely showing vulnerability. But Kane's defense seemed to break through his tough exterior. In a private moment later that evening, Colin confided in Kane, revealing layers of guilt, regret, and a longing to prove he could rise above his past. "This is the first time someone's actually seen me," Colin admitted, voice tinged with emotion. "For so long, everyone has assumed the worst. Maybe I can change. Maybe I can finally make things right." Kane's decision to defend Colin has also thrown Genoa City's power dynamics into turmoil. Victor, incensed by the situation, has vowed to keep a close eye on Colin, making it clear that any misstep will result in severe consequences. At the same time, other families, particularly the Abbotts, are watching Kane carefully, questioning whether his actions could inadvertently destabilize alliances and ignite new conflicts. Fans watching at home have been divided. Some viewers see Kane's stance as a refreshing moral compass in a city often dominated by betrayal and revenge. Others fear that his defense of Colin may backfire spectacularly, leading to more chaos and heartbreak. Social media has erupted with hashtags like #KaneDefendsColin and #RedemptionOrRuin, with passionate debates about whether Kane is being heroic or foolish. Adding to the tension, Chloe Mitchell, who has her own complicated history with both Kane and Colin, is reportedly planning to confront Kane about his choices. Sources suggest that Chloe will question whether Kane's loyalty to Colin could endanger the people Kane loves most. This confrontation is expected to be explosive, with emotions running high and secrets threatening to surface. What makes Kane's defense particularly intriguing is that it aligns with a larger theme currently playing out in Genoa City: the possibility of redemption. Several characters are grappling with their past mistakes, and Kane's willingness to see the good in Colin highlights a recurring question in the series. Can people truly change, or are they forever defined by their worst actions? As the week unfolds, viewers can expect explosive confrontations, emotional revelations, and shocking twists. Will Colin prove Kane right, showing that he is capable of genuine change? Or will Kane's faith in Colin backfire, putting the Ashby family in the crossfire of a dangerous game? One thing is certain. Loyalties will be tested, relationships will be strained, and Genoa City will never be the same. In addition, expect to see unexpected alliances forming, as characters take sides in this unfolding drama. Kane's moral stance may inspire others to reconsider their views on Colin, while those who are more cautious will likely push back, creating a perfect storm of intrigue, tension, and suspense. For fans of The Young and the Restless, this storyline promises everything that makes the series compelling: moral dilemmas, emotional depth, and high-stakes drama. Kane's defense of Colin is not just a plot twist. It's a deep dive into questions of trust, loyalty, and the human capacity for change. And in a city where betrayal often lurks around every corner, Kane's actions remind viewers that sometimes standing up for what you believe in, even against overwhelming opposition, is the most courageous move of all. Stay tuned to The Young and the Restless this week, because Kane Ashby's unwavering support for Colin Atkinson is set to shake Genoa City to its core. And no one will be able to predict exactly what will happen next. Everyone knows that Phyllis Summers is a force to be reckoned with. But lately, she has been playing a new game. One that's not just about passion or impulsive decisions, but strategy. As viewers tune in this week, they'll see Phyllis shifting gears in a way that has even the most seasoned characters questioning their next move. Phyllis's recent trajectory has been fascinating. After a series of personal and professional setbacks, including heartbreak, betrayal, and a brush with scandal, she's no longer the woman who reacts first and asks questions later. This week's episodes highlight a Phyllis who is observing, calculating, and most importantly, anticipating the moves of those around her. It all begins with Newman Enterprises. Victor Newman has been on edge, rattled by a series of unexpected boardroom challenges. Kane Ashby, ever the ambitious strategist, has been quietly positioning himself for a more influential role, and Jack Abbott, predictable in his desire to control every angle, has been maneuvering to keep the family business firmly in his grasp. Phyllis, ever the underestimated player in this high-stakes game, has recognized the perfect opportunity. While Victor and Jack are busy with their egos and power plays, Phyllis has been quietly leveraging her knowledge, charm, and connections to influence outcomes behind the scenes. She's been meeting with key players, including former rivals who owe her favors and allies who are eager to regain her trust. With each conversation, she's carefully sowing seeds of doubt, curiosity, and ambition, subtly steering the narrative in her favor without raising alarms. One of the most compelling developments is her alliance with Kane Ashby. In the past, Kane's loyalty has been questioned, and Phyllis's instinct has often been to confront betrayal head-on. However, this time, she's approached Kane with measured diplomacy. Instead of confronting him, she has quietly tested his ambitions, gauging whether he can be an asset rather than a threat. Their interactions are layered with subtle power plays. A compliment here, a probing question there, and a carefully orchestrated reveal of insider information to see how Kane reacts. Viewers will notice that Phyllis's strategy is more psychological than aggressive. She's playing the long game, understanding that in Genoa City, patience and perception are just as powerful as money and influence. This approach has allowed her to quietly reclaim control over aspects of Newman Enterprises that many assumed were lost to her. Meanwhile, her personal life is also taking an intriguing turn. Phyllis's interactions with Jack Abbott have always been complicated, but now she's using their history as a tool rather than a liability. She knows Jack's weaknesses, the need for control, the desire for loyalty, and the occasional lapse in judgment fueled by pride. By presenting herself as a confidant and ally at just the right moments, she's able to gather critical intel without Jack realizing he's being subtly outmaneuvered. The real brilliance of Phyllis's current play, however, lies in her ability to anticipate crises before they erupt. For instance, she's identified cracks in the Newman-Abbott alliance and quietly positioned herself to benefit no matter which side prevails. She's been seen in scenes carefully observing boardroom dynamics, listening intently to conversations, and offering insight at strategic intervals. Her timing is impeccable, interjecting just enough to influence outcomes, yet remaining above suspicion. Fans will also be fascinated by how Phyllis is redefining her image. No longer just the romantic or impulsive woman viewers once knew, she is now a tactician, a chess player moving pieces with precision. The episodes this week emphasize her transformation with clever dialogue and subtle glances, letting audiences in on her thought process without exposing her hand too soon. Phyllis's relationship with Nick Newman also adds another layer of intrigue. Though their romantic history is complicated, she's using that bond to her advantage in subtle ways. Her interactions with Nick are measured, designed to elicit the information she needs while maintaining plausible deniability. Nick, ever trusting, remains unaware of the full extent of Phyllis's maneuvering, making her all the more effective in her strategic play. As the week progresses, tension mounts. Phyllis's careful orchestration begins to pay off when she subtly disrupts a critical meeting between Victor, Jack, and Kane. By planting questions, highlighting inconsistencies, and suggesting alternative strategies, she redirects the focus without ever revealing that she is the catalyst for the chaos. Her actions spark small cracks in the alliances around her, leaving Victor frustrated, Jack defensive, and Kane uncertain about whom to trust. The brilliance of Phyllis's plan is her ability to maintain flexibility. She has prepared multiple contingencies, allowing her to pivot based on the reactions of those around her. If Jack overreacts, she can retreat gracefully. If Victor miscalculates, she can seize the opportunity. If Kane proves unreliable, she has backup allies ready to support her initiatives. This level of foresight is a game-changer for Genoa City's landscape. Phyllis also uses subtle gestures and social interactions as tools of influence. Whether it's a well-timed compliment, a sympathetic ear, or a discreetly shared secret, she manipulates perceptions and emotions with surgical precision. These moments, often overlooked by the other characters, are critical to her success and demonstrate how intelligence and social acumen can outweigh brute force or intimidation. Of course, drama in Genoa City never rests, and Phyllis's newfound savvy does not go unnoticed. There are whispers of suspicion, moments of jealousy, and subtle tests by those who have underestimated her in the past. Yet she remains composed, demonstrating that her strength now lies not just in action, but in restraint. Her ability to remain calm under pressure is what makes her truly dangerous in the corporate and personal arenas alike. By the end of the week, Phyllis's plan begins to bear fruit. Small victories accumulate, alliances subtly shift in her favor, and the boardroom dynamics start to tilt. Characters who once dismissed her as manipulative or emotional are forced to reconsider, realizing that Phyllis Summers is now playing a game they cannot easily predict or control. In essence, the latest episodes of The Young and the Restless highlight a Phyllis Summers who has evolved into a master strategist. She is no longer merely reacting to the chaos around her, she is orchestrating it. Her blend of patience, intelligence, and psychological insight sets the stage for future power struggles, betrayals, and unexpected twists. As viewers follow her moves this week, one thing becomes abundantly clear. Phyllis is no longer just playing catch-up in Genoa City's high-stakes world, she's taking the lead. And with every calculated step, she reminds everyone that the smartest players are often the quietest ones. If there's a lesson to be learned from this week's episodes, it's this: never underestimate Phyllis Summers. She may play it smart, but when she does, she plays to win. And in Genoa City, winning is everything.